All right, we are live.
I initially wanted to start this review with incoherent screaming because that kind of sums up my relative feelings toward this track. But without further ado, let's get into this. This is Ham by Rideliner after a years, almost decade long, like
I think it was almost 8 years. It was like 7.5 year hiatus,
it's
which
good. It
is
was
which is
just
a
he's
long
gone
time.
for a silly amount of time, and then came back with this. Everyone was like, he said, "I'm
Ham
working
by
on a track."
Rider.
Everyone was like, "Oh, cool! I'm excited to see what you do." He posted some screenshots. Everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
And then he posted the track,
Uh,
and everyone's like, "What the hell did you
that
do?"
the hell is what you were doing. Oh man, I'm ready.
All right, let's just watch it. Let's just watch it. Three, two, one, go. I gotta say, for anyone who has ever been interested in Quirk, it's like a must-watch. Interested in
And
making Quirk. If you're interested in watching line writer checks, it depends on what you're into.
yeah,
There we go.
I watched this at first and I was just like, "What's happening?"
Well, first
I'm
here I was
excited.
like, okay, all right, and then it's like, wow, okay, that's like
That took a turn.
that's like Giga Quirk right there. And then this
That's-
happened, and I was like, okay, now we're like beyond Giga Quirk. And then this happened, and I was like,
what is going on?
what is actually happening right now? I literally
Ah!
have no idea what's happening.
And then
And then this is the stall.
he has to clarify that it's the stall.
Yep.
It's just like, are you kidding me?
So we watched this, or the first time I watched it, you were watching me, and you probably remember that my reaction was to just start cackling.
You're just
I couldn't be stopped.
you were
I was
uncontrollable,
I was
dude.
just laughing maniacally throughout the entire color replay.
Oh man,
So yeah, this was track.
that's it's just
I say so. First, I want to give Rideliner props for the absolutely perfect music choice. It's like it's you know, acid. Like I actually looked into this. I had no idea this genre even existed, but it's like hardcore punk acid jazz, where it's like jazz, but it's like hardcore and it's like punk, and they're like screaming their heads off and like breaking instruments and stuff. But they have like a typical like jazz like
setup. Yeah,
setup. It's just bizarre, but it's like it fits the track really well. So yeah, good job on that music choice there.
it's like if you mixed
Oh, good
Yoko
boy.
Ono with jazz theory.
That's basically what's happening here. Uh, let's
I
watch
mean,
this. Let's watch this again.
Watching this in quarter speed will not add anything to it, but I still want to.
Well, let's restart it in quarter speed and we can talk while the first part
Yeah.
plays. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So I appreciate the very in-your-face editing at the beginning. It's just like, Right Letter presents. It's Ham. Look at all these things. Buckle up.
Yeah.
I love the buckle up. It's a very like self-assured opening. It's just like,
Here we go. And
here we go.
So good editing.
I know what's coming.
Good
You
editing.
don't.
We've covered this. Good editing, good music, good presentation. Now,
Yeah.
now let's talk about the actual track. So
It starts.
I mean, I just want to say that the the striking visual appearance of the track, where it's like, lots of previous like quote unquote breakthroughs, or even actual breakthroughs in Quirk have been brought along by like, the layperson doesn't realize that it's a breakthrough until someone else tells them it's a breakthrough. Like when Dapp made a hypercramule in Inhibitions, I didn't find out until months later when people told me he'd made a hypercramule in Inhibitions, and I was like, oh, that was the thing.
Because it was like one.
It was one frame, and it went by really quickly. And so the interesting thing about this track is it has that, where it actually has a moment in this track where Bosch basically teleports 12,000 pixels, and you don't even see it because it's one frame. But it also has like a million other things that visually come across to the viewer as this is ridiculous.
Oh, like
And he
I
actually
think the
he
big one is the sudden switch in direction when he does the da da da, and he's just like horizontally one way, boom. Now he's moving the other way at
yeah,
the
we'll get
exact
to
same
that.
speed, boom.
So like this is like some advanced like quirk, what people might call gigaquirk stuff, where it's like there's some cramule stacks, there's some like basically every frame is a stack here, which is like really crazy. And there was a cramule curve in there. I mean, he's trying out all these new techniques that lots of different people have uh, have explored, like Sheldon and Dapp and Anton and Shuggers. And then I don't understand a lot what happens after this point. There's like these really long lines, and then
Is the best alt fling of all
here he's
time.
like spinning like he's spinning like one spin every 3 frames or something. And then I think this is just like a really strong fling that evolves into stacks, and then I don't know what's with the black squares.
And I think that it's unexplainable is the largest appeal of this part. It's just like I can't even like
So it
put
just
into
it
words
gets
what
more
it
and
is.
more ridiculous visually, and I think there was a the really crazy trick which now he exploits with this, where he's basically making him teleport anywhere he wants. Um, but when he first does it, you don't even see it, and he actually kind of hides it by like tracing. Um, oh gosh, you know what? I should probably just open the SOL to point this out, because there's a I didn't, I shouldn't have paused it. I can just keep talking about it. There's
Yeah.
a point where he teleports 12,000 pixels, but it's in the middle of this fling-like thing, and where he initially teleports, he traces the following fling lines into that, and then where he ends up, he traces the previous fling lines into that. So you don't actually see it at all, which is just nuts if you think about it for a
Conceptually,
second.
that's genius because he like hides probably I would say one of the things that I don't know if this is totally verifiable, but it seems like the most like important thing that a lot of quirkers have looked at is the teleportation, the singularity
Yeah,
aspect,
yeah.
and he hid the most blatant usage of it so that you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
It
But then he does exploit it like crazy later, where he has him just teleport all over the place.
Yeah,
Which seems it's when he's in that cramule position. There's all those vertical and horizontal lines, and he's just like ping ponging around. Um, I I mean, I think that is. I mean, um, it's hard for me to talk about this as a track because
yeah,
it's. I mean, to be perfectly honest, as a track, this doesn't mean anything. Like, artistically, this work is just, I mean, kind of nonsensical. Like, it's like there's a great music choice and there's great presentation, but the track itself makes no attempt to be um, any sort of a coherent work. It's just a bunch of crap. And by crap, I mean crazy technical tricks that people didn't think was possible before. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the techniques he used to do this were using macros, which is like basically programming your computer to perform different tasks just with like the mouse and keyboard the same way you would do it, except it can do it much faster. So if you have
yep.
like a super repetitive task, say like filling in, oh, there it was. Here, just pause for a second and go back to at quarter speed. Go back to, let me find it. to find it. It's like somewhere around like 130.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I
see it?
see it.
It's like right at 130. There's like you see the green lines, and so he effectively hides the teleportation.
Yeah. Wow.
I lost my train of thought. I was just saying like the track is it's a whole bunch of extremely technical tricks on a scale that we've never seen before. Like I don't think I've seen a technical breakthrough of this scale ever before in Line Rider. Um, um, the but the thing is that to someone who isn't super familiar with Quirk, it just looks like another Quirk. Um, it may be a slightly more frenetic one is the way one of my friends put it. He said it's definitely more frenetic, but he didn't see it as something that was interesting.
Hmm.
It was like you know that was frenetic was his reaction. He laughed at the music and at the absurdity of how crazy it was. Um, uh, I do. I mean, I gotta point out that this is basically the opposite of an inspiring track.
Yeah.
It's like it's a crazy impressive track, but this is not going to inspire anyone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No
Just
one's gonna be
because
like, I
if
can
you,
make this. They're gonna be like, what is this?
yeah, like if you approach this from a technical perspective, I mean, even people who have been trying to replicate what he's been doing, they've been successful at a number of things, but a lot of things people don't really know what he's doing or how exactly. And Ride is characteristically rather opaque about that, which I don't want to blast him for that because I mean he came up with so many things and he did talk about a lot of the techniques he used, but from a technical perspective, you're never going to top this. From an artistic perspective, it's not something that I would be interested in trying out. Let's put it that way. And I can only speak to my personal experience, but I can't imagine that a lot of people are like, oh, I want to try out these techniques, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I'm certain that there are definitely people in our community who are going to keep making them.
Well, yeah, there are people, but the majority of people, even I would wager, even the majority of people in the community are not like, oh, I gotta try this stuff out.
I mean, yeah, I have no interest in doing it myself
Yeah,
personally.
see that. I guess I can't. I shouldn't generalize too much, but the two of us definitely have no interest in this. Um, uh,
Because like if I try and make something like this, it's just going to be another ham. Like if even if I manage to like get all the techniques, it's going to have about the
there's no
same.
way to outdo Ham at its own game. I mean, maybe you could come up with some more frenetic things that we haven't seen in Ham, but it's still kind of going to look the same. It's still going to look like Bosch is just teleporting all over the screen. Um, so it kind of gets to the point where what's the point of making Bosch teleport across the screen in different ways and to stretch his limbs out to the point of ridiculousness in different ways, if you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it gets to the point where it's like, I don't know why you would want to push more boundaries than technically than this track has, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure there are people who are interested in that, but I'm definitely not. And I don't think there's going to be a huge movement of people who are interested in it. And so that's when this is when I make the somewhat audacious claim that I've already think I made 2 times before, but this time I think I'm pretty serious when I say Power is dead. I mean,
Oh,
I
man.
said that after Assault, and
I
then
am
people promptly outdid Assault. And I think
I
I
am
must have said it at least one other place. But
I am
think we're
so
actually
like
I think we're actually there where it's just I think we're at the point where it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, honestly, I would say I'd like to be proven wrong, except I actually would love for Power to actually be dead. I shared this with Hypothet, who's formerly known
Yeah,
as HG42, and um, I was like, I think this might be the end of Power Quirk, and her response was, "Thank God," and that's coming from someone who did almost nothing but Quirk when she was making tracks. So I don't I just it's I think that that's the reason my reaction to this has been happy, is like maybe we can
yeah.
all finally just, you know, try to
It's
focus
the
on
death
making
knell of
things that are
something.
appealing and interesting and what.
It is the death knell of something. What that
Yeah.
something is going to depend entirely on everyone else's reaction to it and the way our community like this is one of those tracks. I'm just gonna. I'm into big dramatic statements. Let's do this. This is one of those tracks where we talk about the community and track making in reference to it, pre-ham, post-ham.
I've already
These
started talking about that. I think in the last review we did, I was saying,
in a
I talked
post-ham
about a
world.
post-ham mindset. But
Eh,
we were reviewing a track that came out before this one, and I was just thinking about how much this track changed the way we were reviewing that track, you know?
this track changes my attitude towards a lot of other tracks now, and it's kind of interesting. Okay, so here's the comment that I think really did it for me. Commander Coke down at the bottom here said, I don't understand this stuff anymore, and I can't say I'm really interested in learning, but hot dog, it's fun to watch people getting weird with Line Rider. And I think this is about the amount of fun I'll be able to have watching people get weird with Line Rider. This is
I think I've reached my maximum. I think if people did stuff that was more ridiculous than this, I mean, I'm shocked because I thought we weren't going to get to this point for a very long time because the progression of GigaQuirk has been pretty slow in the last couple years.
yeah.
Um, at least in relation to this, you know, I mean, this was just such an extreme um, jump in, which is why I was saying, like, I mean, I don't know of a time that Line Rider has progressed in terms of technical limitations with a single track. Um, I mean, even we think about the track limitations, we think about Assault, we think about what was another track that made a big leap? I mean, Valence
And
3.
early on, like Vision was like
Yeah,
one of the
Vision was a big deal, but like I think about like how those tracks didn't actually look that much different from tracks before, whereas this track definitely looks much different.
yeah. This is an
I guess it
extreme
was like for
change.
me, it was kind of like Christmas has come early because Power Quirk is dead way earlier than I thought it was going to be. Although you know, I've claimed that in the past, so I think it's just a
I'm gonna be
situation where
real with you. I don't think it's gonna die. I think there's still gonna be.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I'm gonna be real with you and say that I just wish it would.
I knew that already, though.
Yeah, everyone knows that. Let's see. Is there anything else I can say about this track? I mean, um, I will say that I'm not I will say that like for me, this track doesn't affect anything that I'm working on.
Same.
Um, so I guess there's something. I'm not really sure exactly why. Well, I guess it's just because it's focused on technicality, and I'm not
This is one
interested
of the
in that.
hardest tracks I've ever had to review.
Yeah, this is a really hard track to review because it's yeah,
It's an enigma.
it's
It
a
is an
yeah.
enigma.
Um, and I don't know if that means it's good or bad. I mean, I guess that's a problem with reviewing it is that it's like it if you're judging it based on technicality, it's far and away the greatest track ever created. Um, and if you're judging it through an artistic perspective, it's
Not.
decent. Like it's interesting in a couple ways, but not really. Like the jazz, like the hardcore jazz syncing up with the gigaquark is like, oh, that actually matches the aesthetic, and that's interesting, I guess. But beyond that, there's not really anything that's going to interest me. Um, so it's like I feel like this is a track that's going to drastically change how we talk about quirk and how we talk about technical ability and skills and time-consuming things and what's impressive in quirk in Line Rider. But as for me, I don't think it's going to really change what I'm doing unless it's in commentary on what's happening in the quirk world.
And with that, I think that's as good a review as we can give of this.
Yeah.
It,
I'm definitely. I mean, I'm curious if Ryliner is going to do more. He's been somewhat silent. I don't. I mean, I guess he's been he's expressed some appreciation for people enjoying the track. Um, I guess not really, but he's been responding to things, which is uncharacteristic. At least to his earlier, at least to how it was before.
oh man.
Um, it's interesting because he when in his responses he seems to say that he is that he was trying to dig into the aesthetic and choreography with this track, and honestly, I didn't really get that. So if that was his goal, then I mean, I feel like it's. I feel like there I can offer some criticism, which is like just because you can go there doesn't mean you should go there to convey whatever you want to convey. And this track kind of like goes there and then goes there and then goes there and then keeps going there in terms of like technical limitations. And in the end, the message is very much not clouded, but it's very much under the like you can't view this track as much of anything other than a technical expose, if you know what I mean. And so if there are things that you want to convey, where does he say this? I like watching the little guy do flips and stuff on his sled. I would say you can convey that in a lot of ways more effectively than what was done here. And it's not really my place to tell you what to do because I don't. That's a somewhat of a vague thing to say, so I don't know what exactly that means. So it's hard to like say, well, here's what you should do to convey that you like the guy doing flips. But I'm pretty sure that there's more. The beauty you can create in a bear track is what I really find compelling. Anyway.
Wow. It's
Anyone here, and then he says, anyone here is capable of doing anything I did in this track, which is very interesting. The main thing holding people back is the fact that so much information exists only as tribal knowledge of a few individuals who communicate primarily through Skype, private Skype conversations. This is what I've been saying for a long time, is that it's like, it's weird because it's like, I'd like to know how these things are done, but until there's some sort of an actual like explanation on the internet,
you just have to Skype somebody.
I mean, and I don't really particularly want to Skype Dap or Anton or Chuggers to learn about these things, and so, and that, I mean, I guess that gets into the personal, which is why I've avoided talking about it on these reviews, but.
But yeah, it's like I think there needs to be a certain publicization. Like, if somebody gives like, and I'll even like meet people halfway on this. If you give me a script, I'll record my voice telling, in your words, how to do things. Uh, if you send me footage and like explanations for things, I'll put together a video. You, you can contact Apple. He's working on tutorials all the live long day. It's we are open to making these things more accessible for more people, but you have to want that.
I think maybe what's going on in these sorts of circles that we're talking about is that people are feeling that we're not interested, like we're saying we're not interested in exploring these kinds of things. I feel like I'm not interested if it's going to take me a lot of time to master it, which seems to be the vibe I get when I try to have these conversations. It's like, oh, this stuff takes a lot of work and a lot of time. You're going to have to devote a lot of hours to learning this, and I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in it if that is the case. But if what Rideliner has said is true, that this stuff, like everyone's capable of making this stuff pretty easily, then I'm totally interested. I mean, I may or may not actually use them in tracks, but
yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all I
That's
have
a good
to say. All right, well, cool. I mean, this is,
nice.
I guess that's sort of a repeat of what we said in Inhibition Z, where in our review there, we were like, tell us how you did this. So I guess that's, again, here. And I think Rideliner has released, like, here's the macros I used. I don't honestly understand how macros work. So if I have to learn how to use a tool to learn how to do that, I'm not interested in that. But so I don't know how seriously to take his claim that his claim that anyone in the community is capable of doing anything pretty easily. Anyway, that wraps it up.
Yep.
So, Rideliner, if you're wanting to convey the movement of Bosch as a guy on a sled doing flips, I think there are better ways than this. But I don't really know how to articulate that any more clearly without more detail. And then anyone who knows how to do this, I would totally watch any explanation of how to do this. I've watched Apple's tutorials so far, but I haven't really learned anything because I already knew how to do all that from when I made the series where Anton was teaching me Quirk stuff. Like how to do advanced Quirk stuff.
Yeah.
So I already kind of knew how Cramules worked and stuff. Guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thumbs up.
Bye-bye. See you next time, which will be in a few minutes, I believe.
Yep.